A rare bomb cyclone occurred Friday as it wallops most of the central and eastern U.S. with heavy snow, high winds, and dangerous temperatures, affecting millions of Americans in its path. Meanwhile, flooding is threatening the Northeast. The storm is prompting warnings from officials to take precautions. Whenever the weather phenomenon known as a bomb cyclone is mentioned by meteorologists, Google searches for the phrase "start to spike," and we're seeing the same trend this week. Here's what you need to know about bomb cyclones, and how you can prepare for them. A bomb cyclone, also known as bombogenesis, is a fast-developing storm that occurs when atmospheric pressure drops at least 24 millibars over a 24-hour period, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration note online. A bomb cyclone occurs when atmospheric pressure at the center of the cyclone drops rapidly. In order to approximately qualify, the pressure needs to drop about 1 or more every hour over a 24-hour period, John Moore, a public affairs specialist and meteorologist for the National Weather Service, told CBS News. This can happen when a cold air mass collides with a warm air mass, such as air over warm ocean waters, NOAA explains. The popular term was first used around the 1940s, according to Mike Betts, a meteorologist for the Weather Channel. It's called a bomb cyclone because a low pressure undergoes bombogenesis, which refers to the quick rate at which the low pressure develops, Betts told CBS News. The hazards of a bomb cyclone can be multifaceted and varied based on the location and speed of the storm. The band of intense pressure can create heavy winds, blizzard conditions, heavy snow that can possibly reduce visibility, and rainfall, according to the agency. Heavy precipitation can also cause coastal flooding. In the winter, you can experience intense snowfall as well as extreme winds. It usually leads to very hazardous travel conditions with blowing and drifting snow and poor visibility. Airlines will often cancel flights as the conditions are too risky to fly. High winds can often lead to widespread power outages, Betts said. The mix of frigid temperatures with strong winds can create dangerous wind chills, increasing the risk of frostbite. Moore said a bomb cyclone can also cause a ripple effect of other weather events. There can also be sharp temperature drops along the frontal boundary associated with some bomb cyclones. There can also be storms along the frontal boundary in the warm sector of the storm, Moore noted. While bomb cyclones can happen at any point of the year, they tend to be more frequently reported in the winter months. They are most common from December to early March, according to a 2017 study from the Journal of Applied Meteorology and Climatology, which analyzed the patterns of bomb cyclones over the northern Pacific Ocean from 2000 to 2015. Moore says the same holds true today. Bomb cyclones often occur more during the cold season, he agreed. Whenever a storm is forecast to hit your area, you should make sure to be prepared. If you're expecting impacts similar to a winter storm, prepare accordingly. If you live near a coastal area, coastal flooding could have an impact. Heavy rainfall associated with a bomb cyclone could also cause flooding, so those who live in areas that are susceptible to flooding should be on alert, Moore said. Betts echoed Moore's advice and encouraged people in the direct path of a bomb cyclone to stay home. In the event of a power outage, people should only use a generator as intended in the instruction manual and never operate a generator indoors. Also, consider having a backup heat source that doesn't involve an open flame, he added.
Facebook parent Meta agrees to pay $725 million to settle privacy lawsuit. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg walks at the company's headquarters in Menlo Park, California, on April 4, 2013. Facebook parent company Meta has agreed to pay $725 million to settle a class action privacy lawsuit. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg walks at the company's headquarters in Menlo Park, California, on April 4, 2013. Facebook parent company Meta has agreed to pay $725 million to settle a class action privacy lawsuit. Facebook parent company Meta has agreed to pay $725 million to settle a class action lawsuit claiming it improperly shared users' information with Cambridge Analytica, a data analytics firm used by the Trump campaign. The proposed settlement is a result of revelations in 2018 that information of up to 87 million people may have been improperly accessed by the third-party firm, which filed for bankruptcy in 2018. This is the largest recovery ever in a data privacy class action and the most Facebook has paid to settle a private class action, the plaintiff's lawyers said in a court filing Thursday. Meta did not admit wrongdoing and maintains that its users consented to the practices and suffered no actual damages. Meta spokesperson Dina El-Kasabi-Luce said in a statement that the settlement was in the best interest of its community and shareholders, and that the company has revamped its approach to privacy. Plaintiffs' lawyers said about 250 million to 280 million people may be eligible for payments as part of the class action settlement. The amount of the individual payments will depend on the number of people who come forward with valid claims. The amount of the recovery is particularly striking given that Facebook argued that its users consented to the practices at issue, and that the class suffered no actual damages, the plaintiff's lawyers said in the court filing. Facebook's data leak to Cambridge Analytica sparked global backlash and government investigations into the company's privacy practices the past several years. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg gave high-profile testimonies in 2020 before Congress and as part of the Federal Trade Commission's privacy case for which Facebook also agreed to a $5 billion fine. The tech giant also agreed to pay $100 million to resolve U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission claims that Facebook misled investors about the risks of user data misuse. Facebook first learned of the leak in 2015, tracing the violation back to a Cambridge University psychology professor who harvested data of Facebook users through an app to create a personality test and passed it on to Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica was in the business to create psychological profiles of American voters so that campaigns could tailor their pitches to different people. The firm was used by Texas Senator Ted Cruz's 2016 presidential campaign and then later by former President Donald Trump's campaign after he secured the Republican nomination. According to a source close to the Trump campaign's data operations, Cambridge Analytica staffers did not use psychological profiling for his campaign but rather focused on more basic goals, like increasing online fundraising and reaching out to undecided voters. Whistleblower Christopher Wiley then exposed the firm for its role in Brexit in 2019. He said Cambridge Analytica used Facebook user data to target people susceptible to conspiracy theories and convince British voters to support exiting the European Union. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon was the vice president and U.S. hedge fund billionaire Robert Mercer owned much of the firm at the time. The court has set a hearing for March 2, 2023, when a federal judge is expected to give the settlement final approval.
Polar bear numbers are dropping in Canada's western Hudson Bay. A polar bear walks along the shore of Hudson Bay near Churchill, Manitoba, on August 23, 2010. Polar bears in Canada's western Hudson Bay, on the southern edge of the Arctic, are continuing to die in high numbers, a new government survey released Thursday found. A polar bear walks along the shore of Hudson Bay near Churchill, Manitoba, on August 23, 2010. Polar bears in Canada's western Hudson Bay, on the southern edge of the Arctic, are continuing to die in high numbers, a new government survey released Thursday found. Polar bears in Canada's western Hudson Bay, on the southern edge of the Arctic, are continuing to die in high numbers, a new government survey of the land carnivore has found. Females and bear cubs are having an especially hard time. Researchers surveyed western Hudson Bay, home to Churchill, the town called the polar bear capital of the world, by air in 2021 and estimated there were 618 bears, compared to the 842 in 2016, when they were last surveyed. The actual decline is a lot larger than I would have expected, said Andrew Derricker, a biology professor at the University of Alberta who has studied Hudson Bay polar bears for nearly 4 decades. Derricker was not involved in the study. Since the 1980s, the number of bears in the region has fallen by nearly 50%, the authors found. The ice essential to their survival is disappearing. Polar bears rely on Arctic sea ice, frozen ocean water, that shrinks in the summer with warmer temperatures and forms again in the long winter. They use it to hunt, perching near holes in the thick ice to spot seals, their favorite food, coming up for air. But as the Arctic has warmed twice as fast as the rest of the world because of climate change, sea ice is cracking earlier in the year and taking longer to freeze in the fall. That has left many polar bears that live across the Arctic with less ice on which to live, hunt and reproduce. Polar bears are not only critical predators in the Arctic. For years, before climate change began affecting people around the globe, they were also the best-known face of climate change. Researchers said the concentration of deaths in young bears and females in western Hudson Bay is alarming. Those are the types of bears we've always predicted would be affected by changes in the environment, said Stephen Atkinson, the lead author who has studied polar bears for more than 30 years. Young bears need energy to grow and cannot survive long periods without enough food, and female bears struggle because they expend so much energy nursing and rearing offspring. It certainly raises issues about the ongoing viability, Derricker said. That is the reproductive engine of the population. The capacity for polar bears in the western Hudson Bay to reproduce will diminish, Atkinson said, because you simply have fewer young bears that survive and become adults.